Good evening and welcome. I'm Sheila Balgobin, principal of Simply Improve Health, and I help people to train better and longer and recover more quickly, have improved sleep, and enjoy better quality of health using simple plant-based mineral products and simple techniques. This evening, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about one of my other hats or tools, and excuse me, in my toolbox, and that is aromatherapy. Now, aromatherapy, people tend to think, oh, yeah, you go to a spa, you get a nice massage, or maybe you put a few drops in the oil to set the mood for a romantic evening or something. That's a part of what aromatherapy does. But aromatherapy, essential oils, um, actually have various properties, some of them medicinal in nature, and can be used to enhance health, to improve states of mind, to ease physical conditions. And just as a tip, whenever you're looking for a qualified aromatherapist, check their credentials. I've heard of people getting certificates or something in a weekend and calling themselves aromatherapists. I studied for a year at a very well known and respected school and nearly didn't get my diploma because I had to explain something I did on a case study. You really want somebody that knows what they're doing because, as I say, some of these oils can interact with medication or treatments that you're having. And if they're not qualified to take a thorough um, case history and learn everything from about whether your cat died to did you have a fight with your partner or your boss, and what you were eating in the last few days. If they're not that thorough, check around. Look at professional associations that oversee complementary therapies. Check with schools and universities that offer qualified courses. Just do a little bit of homework because you can actually do a bit of damage if you don't know what you're doing. So, having said that, I'm going to be sharing with you several oils, about 8, which I call part of my Sweet Smells of Success collection. These are oils that have not only physical properties, as I said, that can impact physical states, but also have properties that can impact your emotional state so that you can use them. For example, if you have a test to study for, do revision. There are oils that can help you with that, especially if you have a poor memory. Um, there are oils that can help you to prepare for a track meet or some kind of sporting event, or help your muscles to relax afterwards. There are oils that can help you to feel a little bit less frazzled because you're having a crazy day or a crazy life for that matter. So aromatherapy isn't just about nice smells, is what I'm trying to impress upon you, but can have some real value in helping to ease the bumps and bruises of life as you go through your day. Excuse me. So the change in weather seems to have put a bit of a frog in my throat. We went from nearly 98 degrees or 33 degrees, 34 degrees centigrade to about 10 or 15 degrees below that, maybe about more actually. So we're closing windows now because it feels a bit chilly. But never mind. The first of my oils that I'm going to share with you today is lemon. Latin name, Citrus limonum, for those of you who like the proper nomenclature for plants. And lemon is a great oil to stimulate the mind. In fact, in Japan, They pump it through the ventilation systems in very minute amounts in factories to keep the employees alert and accurate in their work. And I worked for Toyota, and I can tell you, when you can tell when things are made in Japan, they are precise to it's just untrue, honestly. So lemon, as I said, is a mental stimulant. It can also be used in cases of people suffering with dementia. It helps to bring mental clarity when there's confusion. And it also can be helpful to refresh the mind, particularly if you're suffering with nightmares. So it's a pretty useful plant. But to give you an example of just how stimulating it can be, I was running a project at a hostel for homeless men in my local area, and I was diffusing different oils and testing them to see which ones would get the best response from people. And I was using lemon, and there was one gentleman who just wouldn't come out of his room. He didn't want to eat, didn't want to bathe. I mean, it's a real scene. I had one of the staff put a diffuser in the room with a few drops of lemon, and within 10 minutes he had gotten up, decided to wash and shave and come down to the dining room to have breakfast. So there you go. It really got him moving. So that's lemon. The only warning I would have, and this is why I say it's important to, if you're going to use essential oils, to get advice from a qualified aromatherapist. Lemon oil is phototoxic. I repeat, lemon essential oil is phototoxic, as are most citrus oils. And the reason I tell you this is because if you use that and go out in the sun with that on your skin without at least 12 hours having passed, it can actually burn the skin or do damage to the skin. So please, if you're going to use it while it's still summertime, use it at night. Do not use during the day, and in very low concentrations. Again, if you want some advice, get in contact with me. That's really not something to play around with. My next oil is cardamom, Elateria cardamomum. And I've got a great story about this one. This oil is also for enhancing poor memory. It's also good for muscle aches and muscle cramping. But it's really funny. This oil I will remember forever, I tell you. It was the night before I took my practical exam to qualify as an aromatherapist, and I was doing my last bit of studying and revising and what have you, and getting my things ready, taking my time and putting my things in my bag to take for my exam the next day. Holy shit! I suddenly remembered I had forgotten the oils I needed to use in order to take the exam. So, and I was studying cardamom at the time, so the two are inextricably linked for me now. So trust me when I say cardamom really does enhance a poor memory. My next oil is rosemary. Now, a word of caution with rosemary: if you are subject to epilepsy or seizures, do not use this oil at all without strict supervision. Do not use this oil if you are not an aromatherapist, because it's a neurotonic, which means it stimulates the brain. And if you're subject to seizures or epilepsy, it may overstimulate the brain and send you into a seizure. So please, if you have any tendency at all to seizures, do not use it. But if you can use rosemary, which the Latin name is Rosmarinus officinalis, which means that it was recognized from ancient times as a medicinal plant. That's what the officinalis means. It is good for, as I say, increasing the memory. I mean, even Shakespeare talks about it. Rosemary for remembrance. That's what it's about. It's good for sore muscles, and particularly rheumatoid arthritis, which is related to blood serum levels and what have you. So that's rosemary. Excellent for the memory. If you're studying for exams, it's great, but don't try not to use it at night because, again, it overstimulates the brain. Hello, Kieran. And you might find that you can't sleep, or it may even give you nightmares. So you have to be very careful with rosemary. My next oil is black pepper, or piper nigrum. And that is, if you're subject to high blood pressure, again, this is something that you should avoid because it is a hypertensive oil. It actually raises the blood pressure. So if you're subject to hypertension, or you have a tendency for your blood pressure to raise, black pepper is not for you. But if you can use it, it's great for sluggish states when the get up and go has gotten up and left. And there's just, you have a low sense of vitality. It's great for sore muscles. So after training, it can be very useful to have some in a blend for your muscles. And it's particularly good for osteoarthritis, which is just the wear and tear of the joints over time with age. It's also, as you would imagine, being a spicy oil, it can also help with digestive issues. So that's black pepper. My next oil, and I had to learn to like this one, and I'll explain why in a minute, and it is juniper. Hi, Claire. How are you, girlie? Juniperus communis, which means that it was known from ancient times as a common herbal plant with medicinal properties, though it was never an officinalis, considered part of the medical pharmacopoeia of ancient times. But I had to learn to like this particular oil because the first time I smelled it when I was a student, I just went, ugh, gin. And I hate gin. So, but it's an excellent oil. It does so much. So I've learned to like it. But my first reaction to it was just like, oh, no, 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 no. I don't want that because it just smelled like gin to me. And of course, gin is flavored with juniper berries. But as I said, it's an excellent oil, and it's great for clearing the mind or clearing the space. If there's someone is suffering again with a bit of mental confusion, juniper oil can be helpful. And I'll explain at the end of how best to be able to use oils if you're not a qualified aromatherapist. You could always ask me, come to me. I am a therapist with more than 20 years experience, but there are simple things that you can do that will make using the oil safe. But as I was saying, juniper oil clears the mind and clears the space. So if you're using, for an example, if you're a therapist and you're using a room that where multiple people are using it, or it's a multi-purpose room, juniper is a way of clearing the energy and clearing the space so that it's fresh and refreshed, if you will. Juniper is also good for sore muscles. It acts as a diuretic. So ladies, if you were looking for a blend for cellulite, for example, juniper would form part of such a blend. And it's good for, it increases the circulation again, which is why it's helpful for things like cellulite. So that's juniper. And let's see, the last of my oils is geranium, Pelargonium graveolens. And just as a note, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, if you're not a gardener, but the scent from geraniums does not come from the flowers. It actually comes from the leaves. If you were to look at the leaves under a microscope, you would see the like little fat globules, literally. And that's where the scent lies. So when you crush the leaves of a geranium plant, you will smell the leaf, it will smell of the geranium. So it's not the flowers, it's the leaves that give the scent and create, the oil is made from that. Now, the purpose of, or the properties of geranium essential oil is for balance, emotional balance. So when people are feeling anxious or maybe a bit depressed, this will help to bring the emotions back into balance, so that you can ratchet down the anxiety a bit. So those are my suggested oils, and how they can be used, or what they can be used for. How they can be used is very simple. The easiest way, as I say, if you're not a qualified aromatherapist or having a blend made especially for you by a qualified aromatherapist, then you can simply take no more than 2 to 3 drops on a handkerchief or a tissue and smell that with the proper contraindications, as I've already mentioned, or those same 2 or 3 drops in a burner. You could actually in a burner, because it's being diffused through the air, you can add a few more drops, maybe about no more than 5 to 6 drops. If you're going to be using them in any way on the body, then you really, really, really need to have an aromatherapist take a proper case history, as I mentioned before, and make the blend that's appropriate for you, not only in terms of what it smells like, so that it's pleasing to you, but that it has the proper therapeutic properties that are required and are not contraindicated in any way. So again, getting a case history. If your therapist isn't taking at least an hour and 15 minutes to to do a case history, you may want to reconsider, because they may not truly be qualified. Anyway, I hope you found those tips of interest. There will, along with this post, there will also be the link for the actual plants that the oils come from, so that you can see what I'm actually talking about. If you have any questions, please get in contact, drop me a comment, or send me a message. And if you like, leave some emojis, love hearts, a thumbs up, whatever. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening and rest of the week. And I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.